My name is Tyler David, and you're watching Field of Dreams on ACTN.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams on ACTN. I'm Steve David, and I'm your host. Today, I have with me three panel members who's going to assist me in talking about the women. We'll do a review of the women Olympic qualifying tournament, and also we're going to do a review of the Men Nations League tournament. Sit back, relax, we bring it to you, viewers. Let me introduce the panel. I've got Alvin Henderson. Welcome to the set, Alvin.
Always a pleasure to be here.
And we have a guest host to our panel, and that's Linda Bramble Thompson. Welcome to the set, Linda.
Thank you very much, and it's always my pleasure to be here.
And we also have smooth as silk, Larry Joseph. Welcome to the set, Larry.
Yeah, I'm Steve. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, thank you for being here. As you know, we didn't do very well in both tournaments. And let's talk about the women first, because I had high hopes with the women, and I'm real disappointed and I'm real hurt to what went down. So I will start by saying, was that us or was that Memorex? Was that really us? What do you think, Linda?
Well, I was at the game between St. Kitts and Nevis and Trinidad and Tobago, and I was totally surprised because I expected much better from our team. When in the first half we were 3-0 down, I was really, really disappointed. And it's not to say that the team, St. Kitts and Nevis, did not play well. The team played much better than
But which
us.
game was 3-0 down you're talking about?
The St. Kitts
We
and
played
Nevis,
a couple of games,
yeah,
right? We're talking
St.
about
St. Kitts
all
and
in one
Nevis,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I was really surprised at the performance of our ladies, because usually we are one of the number one. And when I saw the grouping, I said, well, easy pickings for Trinidad and Tobago. And I was surprised at the performance.
Let me hear what these fellas think about the game.
Well, I always like to start from the beginning, and the beginning for football is always preparation.
Right.
And to tell you the honest truth, maybe because as Linda said, others felt that the Caribbean group that we were in was easy pickings for Trinidad and Tobago. Our preparation was less than adequate. But at least on this occasion, an effort was made to try and source players from the U.S. And a couple of camps were held in the U.S. to look at players and see if we could bring U.S. players, U.S.-born Trinidad players or U.S. players with a Trinidad passport into the team. In fact, when we came down to the final group, we had quite a number of U.S. players vying for selection on the final 20. And a number of them played in the tournament as well. What was disappointing was that this group, which was supposed to be an easy group, Aruba at first, we easily beat Aruba and Antigua. We were stymied by a well-prepared St. Kitts team, which also was doing similar to what we did by bringing in players from the U.S. as well. So people are preparing well for these tournaments. We did not have enough preparation time with the coaches to make our selection group play at a higher level.
Let me hear from Larry, and after I want you to explain a little bit more, get deeper into why you think our preparation was that bad or wasn't good enough. Larry, what you think about it?
Well, I am one that was not surprised by the final result in our last game, because piggybacking off the performances of the men's team and knowing the women's league in Trinidad is not at its best, I didn't expect that a national selection team would do as in the past and win all our games against what we consider to be weaker oppositions. So I was there for the Antigua game, was it? Yeah, I think that was their second game, was it?
The second game.
Right, I was there for their second game. And the Antigua team, you could see, was a bunch of girls who now learning to play the game. And I mean, we struggled against them. So I was not totally surprised in the last game against St. Kitts. I didn't see that game when I heard that we lost based on the game I saw previously. I wasn't impressed with our girls whatsoever. There were quite a few players who I thought were definitely not up to international quality. Right? Having said so, I knew that their preparation was very short as per normal, and they had to do things very quickly for the tournament. Right? But the final result with that loss did not surprise me at all.
So, again, let's talk about preparation then. Because I really thought we did as much as we could do for this level of tournament, because this is not elite teams, this is really small teams. So I hear you say, Alvin, our preparation wasn't that great.
No, because
Why you feel that?
if you're going to bring new people together to play football, and especially international football, you can't have them together for only a couple of weeks. That is no longer adequate at the international game. And if you let's look at who the best team in the world and how they prepare. How the US prepares for a tournament. Their girls are together 2 years before. 2 years, sometimes longer than that, preparing for a tournament. And we have to be able to do that if we are prepared.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I am kind of disappointed about also, because of the fact that they knew about this tournament way in advance. Why just 3 weeks? And it's always like that. It's always a rush to get the players together for a tournament. And I think that is one of the things that we need to look at with our preparation. We need to at least start building. We need to have some sort of developmental program where we have a pool that we can, choose from, and we build from the lower division, come straight up. So when these tournaments come up, we don't have to be fishing for players.
I'm glad we have you in this panel, because now I want to ask you that question. Why are you part of this group that get together and talk about how we prepare or how we're going to move forward?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm on the refereeing side.
So you're free now to blast them and say whatever you have to say. What do you think?
Well, I don't know who exactly the group of persons are, right, but I'm not sure if we have a lot of women involved in that selection, because you know that men that's right. Right. But I think that proper planning needs to be put in place where we get the persons who are involved on the ground level with the girls searching for talent, and they sit down together and they work something out, where we start at the grassroots level. Let's say we have some primary school leagues going on. We have the SSFL league going on, right? We have the women's league, which, as Larry said, is not really, it's just for a little short period. We need to get the women more involved in various levels of competition, so at least they would be more prepared for a higher level.
Larry has the solution to all our problems. So, Larry, we had Defoe and Marcel and those guys, and they did a lot of little, what you call it, groups in the U.S. where they went to different different locations, and they do the combine and they select. And I thought, wow, we're doing something. Especially outside, we had a lot. But the only thing I wasn't happy with is some of the local girls that we kept, the older ones. I thought it's time for us to give the younger people a chance. So, but I wasn't happy with that. But other than that, I thought we would do well.
Well, as it turned out, regardless of the combines and whatever they did, the final product on the field on game day, it showed up in terms of the results. I don't want to be too critical of the coaching staff because they themselves inherited the team in for a very short period of time.
Right.
And it's really difficult, especially as the doc intimated, you're working with a lot of first-timers, right? And going into a tournament, I think the association assumed, as all of us did, that the group we were in, the shortcomings that we would have had, we had hoped would still be, we would have been good enough to at least qualify from the group, buy us some time to do a better preparation for the next level of competition. But all of us were rudely awakened to the fact that, listen, while we scampering all over the place to do combines, that have other smaller countries that are preparing. And, I think the women's game in some ways mimics the position of the men's team in our country also. While our pro league and other leagues and the administration fighting and tussling for power and the men's game is in a mess, we almost have the same thing on the women's side of things. We must remember also that the association really has not treated the women's game with quite a lot of respect in recent history. So to expect that the women would just come in a short space of time and eliminate some of those wrongdoing by winning games on the field and plastering over some of the administrative weaknesses, maybe in some ways it's poetic justice that we got the result we got. So we could finally face up to the situation that we have with the women's side of the game. I mean, we've sat in this panel, and the doc is the one who have always trumpeted, and you yourself, Steve, that you all believe that in between the two teams, we feel that a women's team may qualify for a World Cup before the men's team. Obviously, at the rate we go in, that is not going to happen.
No, I must say that the coach who's there, Defoe, I don't know him. I've never met him. I think he functions in the U.S.
Yes.
He's out of Texas.
Yes, I know. He has been saying all along, and even after the loss, he's saying this is a work in progress. This is a long-term plan and a change of personnel over quite a long period of time. So he is perhaps himself looking further down the line. This was Olympic qualifying. So he is perhaps looking ahead to the next World Cup preparation, where he would go and look again in the U.S. for more players, because there are more there who are available to play for Trinidad and Tobago. There are also more in the UK. I was there recently in the summer, and people said, we are not looking across here for Trinidad and Tobago players. There are people with Trinidad and Tobago passports who are playing in the UK, and they're doing quite well. So he'll look for more players there. He will have more time to get his ideas across in coaching, etc. And there'll be more time for the team to bond. So there is time to prepare this team for a World Cup qualifying. Recent World Cup was only this year. So we have a long span to qualify. But whether we will have the program, as Linda says, and the money is another thing.
One of the things that I want to put a plug in here. Yes, we are looking for players for the next World Cup, but we have other tournaments coming up, lower division tournaments. What are we doing in preparation for that? Because that is where you build your base. You start from the bottom and you come up. So you have your players there at that level, they're working together, they're gelling together, and then those players continue to move on so that when they reach at a higher level, they are able to perform much better with each other instead of just a pickup and we trying to get the players to gel.
We don't have the factory though. We don't have the under 13, the under 15, the under
That's
17
right. That's
coming through.
through the system.
We need the factory.
That's right.
Well,
And we
the
don't have that.
local women's game is not very well. It's not a strong level of football. I haven't seen too many primary school female games played at all in years. I haven't seen it. I've seen the boys at primary school level. I know you had to wait till you get to the secondary schools when you would see some secondary school female football. Based on just the highlights I see on the television, I mean, most of the girls look like they're first timer, and you just bring a team. The school just bring a team, and then the local game at the senior level under Wolf, right, is struggling. So that we have this huge dependence on foreign imports to staff our national team, and you will always run into problems as we're running into because of that scenario. There is no quick fix to any of our footballing program, both on the men and the female side. You know, unfortunately, people want, administrators want instant success because I suppose the pressures of the rapid intervals of competitions that come up, and so much is dependent on winning these games because it affects everything across your footballing spectrum. On administrative level, on a ranking level, on everything.
Mhm.
So maybe proper preparation in our case, in Trinidad's case, is sacrifice at the feet of results. And unfortunately, it is not paying off because at the end of the day, on the field, when I look at the game itself, we are lacking in quality to get the results we want. I mean, it comes down to that to me. We are lacking in quality to get the results that we desire. We just don't have the quality.
And I think that you mentioned about the secondary school league at the women's level. What usually happens, and what I'm seeing happening, because I have been a victim of that, because I have my school team, and sometimes you will have some good players, and then the so-called big schools will see your good players, and they
They're
take them
gone.
and they go on with them. And then what hurts me a lot is that they will go to every single school and they will try to recruit all the best players. So you see one team of all the best players beating everybody by 30-something, 17,
none.
and so forth.
That's no good for your
And
game.
then they have a big pool of players, and some of the players who would have stayed in their little schools and get the experience, they don't get the opportunity to play, right? And I think that is that to win at all costs is killing the development of the local female football.
I have to take a break now, but when we come back, based on your comment, I want us to continue more on that point, because for me, when all the big players go into one school, then the other players in the other schools get a chance. These players get a chance to play, and football to develop, you have to play the game. We'll be right back.
Long term, there's no question that we don't have enough girls and women playing football. We need to go down back to the grassroots level and develop programs at grassroots level, at under 15 level, so that we have more girls playing the game, more than. We, from those encounters together, and this was a North-South game to open the season.
So the team might be playing well, as we always say with Trinidad and Tobago.
Futsal did that great for me.
Okay, hey everybody. Welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams on ACTN. My name is Steve David. I'm your host. Okay, welcome back. Linda, like you made a point about everybody going to one school and the rest getting beat up. But that's going to be for a time. That's a good I think that's a good thing sometimes because normally kids who wouldn't get a chance to play, they get a chance to play in other schools. And they develop a
Yes,
little bit.
yes, they get a chance to play, but sometimes that and all kind of get them deferred from really wanting to play the game because every time they think that they have to go and play this big school,
And they get beat
right?
up.
And they get beat up. Right now, my girls are getting beat up.
There's only one big school, but
No, I don't have the thing about it. I don't have a big school team, but I am trying to develop my players, and every time I develop my players, and I have a few good players, and the big schools see my players and they go with them.
then you beat up the small school. That's what I'm saying.
Right, and that is what I'm trying to do. I'm really trying to build the girls' confidence. So at least I give more persons opportunities to play.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, I think that some of the things that we need to change is that where everybody go to one school and you don't have that, division of the talent so that, everybody can feel good. You can have that development of players because, the younger ones will feed on the experiences of the older players, right? And if you don't have that experience in the team and everybody is novel, they are new, then you wouldn't get that type of passion and that drive and love for the game.
Okay, before I go off to the women topic, I want you guys to tell me, based on what you saw, let's give them some solutions. What do you think we need to do to get our women playing better or to make something work for us in the next tournament or forget about the next tournament and just try to build whatever? What do we need to do?
I'll give you two solutions, short term and a long term. The short term solution is that we need the group that we just have that DFU has put together and is bringing a few others. Let us get a number of games for them. And they could get very good games, not necessarily international games, in the U.S. They could get many games against good girls' teams or women's teams in the U.S.
Right.
Let them get a series of games in the U.S. for those players. And that is a short-term solution to help improve the ability and the togetherness of the Trinidad team that is playing right now. Long-term, there's no question that we don't have enough girls and women playing football. We need to go down back to the grassroots level and develop programs at grassroots level, at under 15 level, so that we have more girls playing the game, more of them interested in the game, and more of them coming to the elite presence in the future. So we don't have enough women playing the game. We need to try and entice them to play the game of football, a game that we all love.
Right.
Right, and that is one of the things we need the TTFA to invest in. That succession planning, you start from the bottom, you develop that women's developmental programs, put those things in place, as Dr. Henderson said, from the grassroots level, come right up, and you ensure that these girls get the opportunity to compete. You have competition because training alone is not enough. They need to be exposed to that level of competition, so at least they'll be able to perform better when the time comes on the world stage.
And there's absolutely no need for me to try to say over the same thing that has been said.
Right.
The solutions, we've mentioned it. They have been mentioned.
But, Alvin, back when we were playing in the U.S. and we used to, as professional teams, we used to go to schools every day or twice a week, show them how to juggle, and those kids couldn't play at all. Did you think America would be like it is today?
I had said, in fact, I think they're a little behind what I had predicted. I thought they would, within 15 years of when I was playing, I thought they'd be close to being the number 10 team in the world, 10 and above. I think they've fallen back a little bit. And now I think now that they have to reorient their whole program to get into more grassroots areas in the US to get the kind of quality that would give them the creative player that they're lacking.
But the woman is the best in the world.
And that is specifically due to what we've talked about on this program, right? Title IX. Title IX came into being when I was in the US at the time, and it gave boys and girls, men in colleges equal access to programs, monies, etc., for their programs in sport. Football, soccer was one of those that got a lot of attention, got a lot of money, and Title IX was responsible for propelling the women's game forward in the US in the early 70s.
So we have to take kudos and credit for the US where they're at. So we would take some of that, right? Because we started, they didn't know how to kick the ball. And no, look at them. All right, so let's switch gear a little bit. Let's talk about the men. Oh, Lord. Somebody get me out of this. Go ahead before I start.
Me, you want me to get you went
Yes,
and do
Larry,
all
get us
kind
out
of
of
thing
this.
for the
Tell me
American
about the
women
men.
game.
Tell
Start
me
back to
what.
play in Trinidad and to see if we can help the men's team. That is what we probably need to do.
We need our what we need to do, start from the, crash everything and start from the ground up. What do we need to do?
Well, that definitely would be a good long-term solution. But unfortunately, again, because results are so closely knitted to everything that a football association has to do now for the development of the game and the longevity of the game and for the players' future in terms of contracts and everything. You know, it's really difficult, especially in our local scenario here, where there seems to be a lack of financing, one, and two, some poor administration, you know, is putting us where we are right now. Okay? We are going to be judged, obviously, by the results on the field in any sport that we are affiliated. Football is still the main sport in Trinidad and Tobago. It's still close to people's heart. When we have poor results, as we've been having for the last couple of years, it affects the psyche of people, right? Negatively, of course, if you have a poor result. We are at a crossroads now in terms of the players, the team, the national senior team, and of course we have an election coming. So even at the administrative level, we are at the crossroads. We need some changes, and I said changes in not to do things that we haven't done before, you know. Maybe it's just to go back to do the things that we have stopped doing, right? Definitely the developmental side of things, we've discussed that in the show, in previous shows. That cannot be forgotten. There is no way, if you want to sustain or be successful and maintain at a senior level especially, that you don't have proper developmental programs coming through. That's your foundation of your house, right? And so we've got to revisit that vigorously. And we've mentioned some solutions as to some of the ways we could do that. In terms of the senior team, again, I have a problem with some of the quality of players that are coming through to the senior team. When you see them perform on the field, that is the most obvious thing to me, right? Against that backdrop, we have a coach who is a junior coach at the international level, so he's now getting his feet wet, right? Whether he's the best fit for us presently is debatable, but based on results, the answer has to be no. You know, so those are some of the things that we have got to look at, and we've got to look at it in a critical way and not be too sentimental about what the solution is. We've got to take the sentiment out of this whole scenario here, because none of us feels very, very happy or proud when we get the results on the field. And all of you guys jump on plane and travel regularly, and you go to most of the countries that we play against. I'm sure you don't raise your head too high going to the airport when you know you've just been beaten up. I know I struggle with it a lot of times, right? So we've got to get the sentiment out of this thing and take a very sober and deliberate look at the solutions, and just let's get this thing done. It's too long that we are in the doldrums because of one, personalities, and because of two, no proper developmental program.
I believe we have a wealth of talent in Trinidad and Tobago. And I am not sure if at the selection level of national selection level, if the best quality of players are being selected. I don't know what is and there are always politics involved. I don't know what is the level of politics involved, but I think that we are not getting the best talent on those national teams. And we have a wide variety, and we have programs in place where we can see that talent on display. So I don't know what is the problem, but I think that selection is an issue.
Alvin will give us all this.
I recently proposed that at the forum that the TNTFA will have, we specifically about selection. Because I span many eras, I also feel that there's quite a bias with selection when you leave it down to an individual coach or individual technical team, especially as we do not have a good scouting program.
Right.
So I feel there should be back to the old days, and you know those days where there is a selection panel or a selection board that is selecting the group of players that he hands to the coach.
Right.
So he gives the coach 25 players and he says, you choose your starting 11 from that. And specifically at junior level, I think that is extremely important because a number of the times we don't scout well enough. We see the player in front of us. Unlike West Indies cricket, if you're in Barbados and you only seen Bajan players, you got one Bajan players on the West Indies team. Mm-hmm. Similar in Trinidad, everybody say, oh, Bravo is the best. He's making duck all the time, but he's the best. The same thing happens in football. You're seeing the same player all the time, and you're not seeing the opposition's player who's playing well. A selection panel from across the country it won't totally eliminate all of it, but the selection panel will bring a number of people who may not have been seen or heard about into the sphere, and then the coach still has the ability to select his starting 11 and his starting team from there.
Steve, I just need some clarity from what Doc is saying there. So is the coach part of any selection for his team at all? In addition to the selection panel giving him 20 players, is the coach empowered to select his own players?
I think the coach should be part of the selection panel.
So I just wanted to know where the coach was inside of that.
In the old days, the coach was part of the selection panel.
Okay, so I was just missing that where the coach was.
The coach and the captain.
Right.
I remember going back to a time when a team was being selected in Cara Park. And I was there that afternoon only because my father was refereeing a final game between the top players. And I was there, I probably was about 10 years old. And Pat Gomez, they had to call him off the field because he was the captain. He was a first choice, but they had to call him off the field because he had to sit down with the selection panel and choose with the others who we take into Guyana. And the selection panel was a group of 5, and I think the coach and the goalkeeper captain made it 6.
Let me explain how that happened back in the day. Is you would have one from the east, one from south, one from central, one from deep south. That forms the group, the panel, selection panel they call them, the selected. And then, but what happened in that time was, if I'm from SFL, I'm rooting for my players, and you from the East, you're rooting for yours, which is okay, healthy discussion. But at the end of the day, they come up with the best group of players from each of the leagues together because they see them in league games, see them in North-South. Everybody kind of sees them as well, so they know. Now is nobody sees a guy in Guayagari. Nobody sees a guy in Port Fort. And so it's very difficult for the coach to bring these players together.
Well, I mean, I think because how our local football is structured now is quite different to back in the day with you guys.
Right.
And so because we have the Pro League as the highest level of football, the thinking or the assumption is anything under the Pro League doesn't have the quality for national selection. So we will only look at the Pro League players for national selection.
But that's wrong.
So, well, right. So I'm just saying that's
Yeah.
what happens now.
Yes.
So that eliminates what you guys are talking about,
Right.
what used to take place in the past.
They had guys in second class.
Yeah, but in
Teams playing
back in
national.
your day, we didn't have a pro league. So you had all the leagues playing against each other. Plus, in the leagues itself, you had interleague, and then, of course, you all had the North-South, which was so famous. So that everybody, if I was a spectator in South, I would have seen all the relevant players just if I only went to South games.
Right.
Because everybody would have visited, and as the case may be.
You got it.
You know.
Yes.
But now it's only the Pro League teams that play at different venues. So if you have anybody else who might be outstanding in the Super League or even in a community league or even in an inter-region, nobody sees them in terms of drawing the attention to any selectors about that person there.
Right.
So your selection pool is very limited because it just takes in these 10 or 12 Pro League teams.
Larry, where this selection panel is most important is less so at the senior level, and it's important there too, but it's more important, in my opinion, at the junior level. At the junior level, so that juniors players all across the country don't get left out, and they could be, they could be logged into a computer with logistics and whatnot and follow throughout the years. That's easy to do.
I'm hearing what you're saying, Doc, but I'm talking one about our present scenario.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I'm also thinking about how we could migrate some of what you are saying that worked in the past to present, And it really comes down to, one, if the administration, whether this present one or after the election, is even interested in going that way. That's what I'm saying. Because that's an administrative decision that has to be taken. Right? So hopefully they look at our show, and the doc is well respected in the football front, that they may at least discuss it.
We need to take a break, but when we come back, I want us to talk about a little bit about the game, what we saw in the game, and what we think was good and what was not. Because we'll be right back after the short break.
Internal rumblings of our teams, as you know, sometimes. But barring that, if it's purely for footballing reasons, I believe Marcus, once available, is our number one forward. And he's that on merit. He can hold up the ball very well.
We, from those encounters together, and this was a North-South game to open the season.
So the team might be playing well, as we always say with Trinidad and Tobago.
Futsal did that great for me.
Okay, hey everybody. Welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams on ACTN. My name is Steve David. I'm your host. Okay, welcome back, viewers. Okay, we get to the point where we need to talk about play, situations, players, coach, assistant coaches, everything, because it's a team. And we have too many deficiencies. And if you want me to start, I would start with Cyrus. Because I said many, many times that you defend him, Alvin, and I said, I think he's a liability for us all the time because he does great things. And his speed is what makes him catch up with his lack of experience and ability. But as a player in the head, I don't think he should be on our team.
If you had told me that about 4 years ago, I might have given you a hearing. But Cyrus, in my mind, did improve from as a defender going forward there. And he got a contract abroad. In fact, I drank more than one. And other people were interested in him. And not only got a contract, was able to maintain his contract and get another. Where Cyrus has fallen down recently, his recent form has not been good. Just like Bato's recent form has dipped, and Bato was consistently good 2 and 3 years ago, very good up until last year. But in this year, Bato has not played well as we know he could play. Because I think Bato is one of the best players Trinidad has had in a long time. Where the problem is with Cyrus as you see it, and Trinidad as I see it, I look at defense as a team problem. And I think that is where we are falling down with Trinidad and Tobago's defense. We are not defending as a team well. You know, because even in the best of teams, I'm a Liverpool supporter. And Liverpool supporters defenders make mistakes. But we have a great Liverpool defender, Van Dijk, who's sweeping up the mistakes. So what I'm saying is, if you have good team defense where people are covering for each other's mistakes, you're going to have a better form of defending, and individual mistakes like the ones that Cyrus made in the last Honduras game would not be exposed. First goal, the player picks up the ball, and I immediately say to my a friend who was sitting next to me, he's not close enough to the man. He's not close, the man is going to turn on him. The fella turns on him in the box. When someone turns on you in the box, you're less reluctant to stick in a tackle. Takes him to the byline and pulls back a ball to a free Honduras player. Nobody's marking him. So you're going to blame Cyrus for the fact that he allowed the man to turn, but what about the man who kicked the ball inside the goal?
But you have 4 descriptions at Cyrus, you know. Well, go ahead, that's one. Because I'm telling you.
No, I'm saying he made the mistake, but the team didn't cover up for his mistakes.
I got you. What about a 3?
Late in the game, Trinidad is pressing to try and come back. The score is 1-0. I'm there watching the game. And I'm saying, we're going to be exposed because I know the Honduras team and this fella, Ellis, I've been watching him for the last 3 years. Fella is a top-class forward. He's quick. And as Ellis picked up the ball, even Cyrus with his speed, I realized Cyrus is in trouble. So Cyrus starts the back, allows him to go on the wrong side of him. He cuts inside. All right, he cuts inside. They're still outside the box. And he's allowed to play a ball over to another player, not well marked, who kicks the ball inside the net. So you're going to blame Cyrus for everything?
That is one of Cyrus' downfalls. He always back. Sometimes Cyrus back behind the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper is in front here, and Cyrus is behind the goalkeeper. That is my problem. Technically, he is not strong. That is my problem.
Steve, team defense. He's backing. If he has a good defender behind him who knows what's happening, tackle him, put on some pressure on him. But team defense, we're not seeing that.
All right, let's get over Cyrus.
I want to ask something here, Alvin. Would you say that players like Cyrus and Bato may have reached their peak performance? Have passed that?
Yeah, no, I think they are at their peak. But when I look behind to see who else I would put there, that's what worries me. Because I have some others who possibly could fill in there, like Mitchell and Gonzalez, but they are, to me, a step lower. They are a little step lower. And the young ones are not quite there yet. We tried. He tried them in the Gold Cup because he didn't have Bato and he didn't have some of his players in the Gold Cup. and fellas failed. Even we remember how we talked about Michael Williams and Alvin and Alvin Jones. Alvin Jones seemingly has improved a little bit in his defensive covering now.
Yeah, he has.
But
He has.
Michael Williams is up and down.
He's not consistent.
One game is good, one game is bad. Aubrey David, decent defender in wide positions, not so good in central defensive positions. So that is where we run into problem.
No.
So our defense, and which is supposedly the best
Our
part of our
strength.
team,
Yeah,
is a team defense. But I think what has made our defense, the scores look decent, is a great goalkeeper. Marvin Phillip, in my opinion, in the last 5 games,
Every game he's the best player.
last 5 games has been outstanding. And I saw him against Mexico. Against Mexico, I thought,
Yeah.
boy, this fella is really
You have
outstanding.
to, otherwise we get
That's right.
crowned.
And
But you know, let me
But
tell you
Steve,
something.
all right, let's talk.
Let me tell you something.
So the defending is not good.
Yes,
What about our attack?
horrible as well. Okay,
Put Cyrus on top.
but what we're doing wrong is, and I'm going to say it again, coach and coaches and things. When you have a player, a young player that's coming, you got to let him come, because I am saying that based on my experience. When I hit the scene, they just open up the gates for me to go, and I keep going. But anytime you put a barrier in front of him, and he has to sit on the bench and wait and wait and wait, you're killing him.
yeah, discouraging.
I'm only saying that based on how it was for me. When they left, they keep pushing, and I keep going. Now, we have Judah Garcia. We have a lot of good young players. If they open the gates for these players, they're going to do well. But the coach doesn't want to put them on because he's looking for victory and he thinks they're too young, but they're not too young.
Right. In recent times, let's talk about Judah Garcia. In recent times, the coach has played Judah Garcia in St. Vincent. He played him in Mexico. True, he didn't start him, but he played him in Mexico. He didn't think he deserved to be on the field against Honduras because he thought he had better players, but he has given him some exposure. In recent times, I thought the spot that has been delayed too long has been the left wing back spot. Keston Julian finally got a chance after 2 years
Okay.
of waiting.
Okay.
And he played against
Venezuela.
He played Venezuela recently, his first start. He's been traveling with the team for 2 years and now has gotten his first start. So it's not that he has not introduced new players. He's introduced Telfer, who everybody thought, oh gosh, Telfer is a boss. Telfer against Honduras looked very poor and should have been taken off at halftime, in my opinion. He just wasn't there. He waited too long to take him off in the second half afterward. And Carr, the center forward, in my opinion, is not quite up yet to the standard of a Trinidad and Tobago center forward. I don't see him above a Marcus Joseph
That's right.
in that spot.
Yep.
Marcus, in my opinion, right now, is our best
number
forward.
9. Yes, for sure. For sure.
And Carr, who got 3 starts recently, is a lucky fella.
And I will let Linda and Larry come in, and also they kept they harnessed Marcus so long. Marcus was, to me, was a better player 2 or 3 years ago than even now. But they harnessed him so long, now he's getting an opportunity to show what he can do. Let me hear you guys.
Well, you know, Steve, when it comes to selection of players for a national or any team, it really comes down to the sentiments of the coach, right? I agree that in terms of the striking position, I feel the best local striker we have is Marcus. I firmly believe that, right? And I believe that once available, he should be selected. Because what I'm seeing playing in our striking position is not an upgrade from Marcus, in my estimation. So I don't know what goes on that prevents him. Sometimes we don't know the internal rumblings of our teams, as you know, sometimes. But barring that, if it's purely for footballing reasons, I believe Marcus, once available, is our number one forward. And he's that on merit. He can hold up the ball very well. He has a powerful shot, and he knows where the goal is, as is evidenced by the fact that he has scored the most goals in the local league for the past 2 years. He's over into India. People might say India, but then if you look around the national team, all the other players are playing in nondescript leagues. But the fact is, you could only perform against what's in front of you. So he's gone there, and he's continued to find the net. And if you find the net on a regular basis, your confidence as a striker, as you would know, Steve, is sky high. Even if you play at a higher level when you come to the national team, your confidence is there. So that's how the striking level.
Preparations done with the team members before a tournament, because you spoke about some players getting the opportunity who has been held down for a long time, and then they don't go out there and perform well.
Well, we've never had a
Really?
consistent psychological person there since well, as far as I know, since Gary Cummins. We've had intermittent people, psychologists coming to work with the teams over the years at tournaments especially. But having not been an integral part of the technical committee now, I don't even know if there's one now. I don't know what the psychological preparation is now, and a lot of that falls on the coach. The coach is doing a lot of that psychological preparation of these players as they go into major tournaments, the Gold Cup, the Nations League, etc.
And because for me, I believe that mental preparation is one of the key to success, because having that, being mentally prepared, you are able to go out there and do what it is, have that confidence in yourself that you can do the job. Because as big that world stage is a big stage, and as old as you are, you get stage fright. So if you are not properly mentally prepared, then you may not be able to perform at the level that is expected of you.
One of the things that always prepares players, and I have a little simple formula that I feel is good for international football. That if you're coming around to a World Cup qualifying year, you should have at least 10 caps under your belt. All right? The time that you get the most caps is things like tournaments like the Gold Cup and the Nations League, where, look, for instance, we've had 4 games. More than that, we've had 6 games in a short period of time. So anybody going into a World Cup qualifying period should not be a 1 and 2 cap person, because that preparation is not enough. He has to be at least 10 caps under his belt so that he knows the lay of the land and is mentally prepared to be an international footballer.
Well, going back to the senior team, I know, Steve, you want to drop Cyrus today, But Cyrus has over close to 90 senior caps for Trinidad and Tobago. So Cyrus is a very experienced international footballer. That doesn't say too much for him in terms of the mistake that he's made in the last 3 games, the Mexico game and the Honduras game, right? But when I look around world football, I see even the greatest defenders make mistakes, just as I see top goal scorers miss easy goals. It's just because our results with the senior teams has been so abysmal that Cyrus's mistakes are magnified, because he is one in our present back four. He's the most experienced defender. So let's go back to that Honduras game in the second half, as you all were going over his mistakes. Those 2 goals really came from his mistakes, and for somebody of his experience, he should not have made it. I agree with the doc that he should have more support. But in my mind, I thought when I saw the scenarios developing that I had enough confidence as a supporter that Cyrus would snuff it out. because of his experience. And he did not do that. And because of that, I don't know if some of his fellow players thought, well, no, Cyrus is on the job, he's going to get it done, I don't need to do my work. We know what came out of that scenario. But there isn't much upgrade to Cyrus as far as I see. You know, there are some really good, we have about 8 good defenders in terms of a pool. But if you, as a coach, you're going to put your starting 11, Cyrus has to be a part of your starting defenders. Not just because of his experience, but because of his ability. He is a liability in some scenarios. You can't get away from that. You had to kind of take the good with the bad with Cyrus, as the case may be. Over a period of time, he has been more good than bad. It's just in recent history, unfortunately, he has cost us some games. Well, I can't say he has cost us, because in other games where he has played with other people, we've still lost. So the poor results is not down to Cyrus alone. Obviously not. Right? So I think because our players are not playing at the top level, we've discussed that on this show, does take away from the lack of quality when we hit the international stage. That's something we need to look at.
Okay, before we go, I want to tell the coach, stop making excuses, Lawrence. You knew what you was going to get. We are a nation of, we're critical. So don't. And when people come to your press conference, don't be mad at them for asking questions that the public wants to hear. Just deal with it. And also, my president as well, I used to like how he used to handle the public with a lot of smiles, but now, very, very mad and arrogant about it. So, guys, settle down and let it be. Thank you for viewers for tuning in. Thank you, ACTN, for giving us the opportunity. Thank you, panel, for being here. Appreciate you. Don't forget, we have a Facebook page. You can check us out. And we do have an email address, fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com. You can drop us a line. Show is ended. Go in peace. My name is Steve David. Good night.